started. I will be recording this so that other folks can see it if they're not here, if they weren't able to make it. So welcome everybody to the Microsoft 365 workshop. Hopefully everybody is enjoying their Grubhub gift card and you have a nice takeout lunch. You know, if we were able to do this and someday in the future we may be able to do this again, I would buy you all lunch, you could come in, but this is the best we can do for now. But I feel like, you know, I don't want anybody to be distracted by hunger, so.
Appreciate it.
You bet. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start with the agenda. My name is Jonathan DeFez. I'm the Business Development Manager here at Optimum Networking. Today's agenda, we will start with a brief introduction of Optimum Networking. For those of you who may not be as familiar with us, then I will go over what Microsoft 365 is and some of the business advantages our customers enjoy with that. Next, I will ask some questions about your current communications platforms. This is the interactive part, so if you guys don't come up with some questions, I'll have to call on you. So so please save me from doing that and unmute at that point and ask any question that you might have. Several of you have already sent in some questions, which I appreciate, and we will address those as well. Then I'm going to be introducing our architect, our SharePoint administrator, and he will be taking the demo from there. That's the fun part. But again, I want that to be as interactive as possible. So if you have questions or you would like some follow-up on some of the things that you are seeing, please feel free to slow us down, stop us, ask us any of those questions. Any questions right off the bat? Anything I can help you guys with right off the bat?
Nope.
Excellent. Let's keep going. So Optimum Networking. Optimum Networking was founded in 1995. So if you do the math, last year was our 25th anniversary, and now we're just turning 26. Our mission is helping people succeed with technology. So we keep that simple and direct. But everything you see in this workshop is an excellent extension of our mission, because Microsoft 365 tools are really designed to help drive your business, help your communication, create efficiencies, that type of thing. So this is a way that we can fulfill on our mission through platforms like Microsoft 365. Our services include supporting our users through the support desk. Those are the end users. We also can support them with on-site engineers. We maintain our clients' networks and servers and backup systems. We provide a strong, comprehensive cybersecurity program, and there's a whole nother workshop just on that topic alone. And mainly, we're guiding our clients through IT strategy and planning. So any questions about Optimum in general before I keep going? Okay, super.
So far.
Super. So let's just go ahead and jump right in about Microsoft 365. It's based on a monthly subscription. Most of what we will be showing today is built into the base package of the subscription. But if you'd like to expand and to add different features, we have Microsoft licensing specialists that can assist you on that. Our engineer can also talk about that as well. Again, that'd be a good question. Hey, is this included in the base package? Hey, if I want to do this, would we need more of a licensing for that type of thing? It's entirely based in the Microsoft cloud. And in a nutshell, what it does is replace your local or hosted exchange or email, or if you have that on a third-party platform or locally. It provides for centralized communication and also provides cloud storage for individuals and for the entire organization. So we're going to look into each of these points a little bit more in depth. Replacing the local or hosted exchange. Before, either you hosted your own email on a local server, or you had a third-party host exchange or some other email platform like a GoDaddy or something along those lines, where your domain was coming from. Through Microsoft 365, your email is hosted in the Microsoft cloud with all the security that they built into the exchange and all the features that are integrated with Outlook, like shared calendaring, shared contacts, everything that you can do is Outlook. So it's tightly integrated, obviously, with the Microsoft platform. In terms of centralized communication, we'll see a lot of this in the demo and the workshop. Excuse me. But I will say right now that you will no longer need to rely on long email chains to communicate with your team. There's a better, more efficient way to do that through Teams. Cloud storage, this gives you the automatic cloud storage so that if you're not saving on local hard drives or other devices. Many folks ask about the difference between OneDrive and SharePoint. Think of OneDrive as your own personal cloud storage. You can use this instead of saving onto your workstation and hard drive. And on top of that, you can share documents with others, both inside and outside of your organization, give them permissions, view only, edit. So you can do a lot more than you can if you're just holding on your hard drive. It is in the cloud, but it is yours. It is your individual realm. SharePoint is designed to be a central repository for documents for the company. So think of this as the company's share drive. As we used to share documents through a server environment, now you're doing it through a shared drive SharePoint environment. You can set up pages, access control, very cool features. Also, and as you will see, either inside or outside your organization. So any questions in general about Microsoft 365 or any of these three areas?
Nope.
On the SharePoint that you're talking about, that's in the basic installation.
Correct. It is in the basic installation. It does take some setup, and depending on the complexity and how you want it to be configured. And sometimes people are savvy enough to do it on their own, and other times you like a professional at least get it kind of set up, or the basic platform set up for you. And our engineer can kind of help describe what you get out of the box and what takes a little bit more setup for you. But yes, Carol, it is included in that licensing.
Thank you.
You bet. Any other questions? All right, I'm going to run through some of the advantages of the Microsoft 365 platform. With these tools, you now have the same capabilities of large enterprise companies out there. This significantly levels the playing field. So that's the first huge advantage, is you're using the same tools, right? Second point, security. Other platforms use multiple, and they're just not as secure. There's many points of entry, different logins, different passwords, different points of access. With everything under Microsoft, and Microsoft has the security built into the platform, you are much safer to use a centralized platform like Microsoft. I know at least one member here, if you're not concerned about the security and your cyber safety of you, your employees, and your clients, you should be, and you should come to our next workshop. You can also communicate, share documents, do video calls with members in your company and outside of your company. You can include clients, you can include vendors, you can include different partners, whether they have the Microsoft 365 platform or not. So similar to the Zoom call we're doing right now, you could do a Teams call with anybody, to be sure. I did mention this on my invite, but you may still be asking yourself, why is he doing this on Zoom when he could be doing it on Teams? Isn't he selling Teams in the Microsoft environment? Fair point. But as you'll see, we're doing a live demo of Teams, and it's just a little easier, and there's more tricks and fun things we can show you by putting Teams on a third-party platform rather than demoing something while we're actually using the tool as we're demoing it. So hopefully that's not a technical answer to your question, but it's a practical one, to your anticipated question anyway. So you get lots of storage with 365. It includes the full Office suite with your subscription. So you get the Outlook, you get the Word, you get the Excel and all the suites. So again, they're rather than selling you that Office package that will ultimately go out of date and you'll have to update, they just sell you the subscription along with it, and it's continually updated. Last but not least, many of you may have these tools and you're just not utilizing them. You have Microsoft 365, but you're using Dropbox, or you're using Slack, or you're using other tools, non-centralized. It's really built in. Okay, so now I have questions for you, and I'd like, again, this is a good chance for you to unmute, and if any of these resonate with you, it'll help make it a better, more effective and interactive demo. If any of these resonate with you, you can kind of ask the questions at this point. Our SharePoint administrator and architect is standing by with, making sure that he jots these down and make sure that we'll show as much as possible during the demo. If you already did ask the question, I did record your questions on a following slide as well. So tell us about it. Do you struggle with communicating with your team in a dispersed environment? Do you worry about worker productivity? Are you irritated by documents saved in various places and lack of version control? Do you get bogged down in emails for hours at a time? How do you feel about the fact that your documents and communications are vulnerable potentially to hacking and cyber attacks? Are you operating or paying for various platforms that don't communicate with one another, kind of like different silos of information? And how can people access your contact or documents? I mean, how accessible or easy is that? And then within that access, how secure is that is also a question. So anything on the list that that resonates with folks, or questions or things that you want to make sure that you see in the demo?
One thing for me, this is Mike, working with multiple emails, maybe even personal to maybe client emails that you're working with, and kind of centralizing all of that would be helpful for me.
Excellent. Yeah, and I got that question for you, Mike, as well on the following slide. There's ways that you can communicate with people chat-wise through the Teams environment, and email is something separate. There's ways to set up multiple email accounts too, kind of within Outlook. So that's an excellent question as well. In fact, since you guys have already asked a bunch of questions, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Judd Conley, and then we're going to, I loaded up on the screen all of your questions, and maybe that'll get the conversation going, but keep these questions in the back of your head as well. So Judd Conley is our SharePoint administrator. He has extensive background both on the enterprise level as well as a small business level with Teams and Microsoft and SharePoint environments. He does administer our Microsoft 365. He does the migrations. That's part of the project work he does. He works on SharePoint, Teams, OneDrive, and he would be like the tier 3 guy. Whereas if and again, this was a kind of a question coming up, but if people have like everyday type of questions about the Teams environment, our support desk can handle that. But if they have some issues or questions, or there's things going on with the application, it ultimately gets escalated to Judd, and he's part of the support team too. So Judd, do you want to quickly just introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. Just to introduce myself as Judd again, and glad everybody could make it, and look forward to meeting everyone. Absolutely.
And I just want to impress on everybody that Judd is an excellent resource and a great opportunity for you guys to ask questions and learn something today. So here's some of the questions that I got from you guys on the registration cards. How can we improve productivity and communication as we move into our busy season? I know who asked that question. She wasn't able to make it today. Why? Well, because she got a little bit too busy. I'm sorry. I'm not sure who asked about the difference between G Suite and Microsoft. Who was that?
That was me, Mike Lewis.
Hey, Mike, well, that's right. That would make sense. And Mike, I just want to make sure you have the G Suite feature set in your mind as we're going through this, and you say, hey, can we do this, or how do we do this? Judd will be able to help out with that as we go along.
Okay.
How can you use shared messaging to help communicate and eliminate log crisscrossing email chains? I love that question because you'll see with the teams that is such an easy way to communicate, and it's just more succinct that when I'm communicating with my team now, I'm either using Teams or group chats, and I'm out of email. And so email, I'm just checking for external issues or questions or clients or prospects or these type of things. And if I really need to get somebody's attention. So that's a great question as well, and will be demonstrated in the demo to be sure. So support structure, we talked about that a little bit. It does require some support. I wouldn't recommend just kind of jumping into it and calling Microsoft when you need help. It does help to have a team like Optimum and definitely an administrator like Judd behind you. How do you integrate and manage multiple emails? Mike King, that was your question. And to be sure, again, we're not talking much about Outlook on this, but we'll show you some Outlook integration. But there is a way to set up multiple email accounts within Outlook. Folks at Optimum Networking can help set that up. They helped me set it up, and I have multiple emails coming into my Outlook to be sure. Productivity monitoring tools. I know that was you, Tom. Jed will talk about that a little bit. We're not going to really demo that today. I think that'd be a good workshop in and of itself. But everything you see here, there is data on all of it, and you can, keep an eye and I know Microsoft is really moving strongly in this area as well, kind of balancing that Big Brother / KPI / really getting an organization to work efficiently in this first environment, to be sure. And last but not least, share drive is another great question. It's a different concept of rather than a share drive within a server versus SharePoint. And Jed, you'll be able to talk about that a little bit more, correct?
Yeah, we'll be able to demonstrate how to be able to sync those documents down to your share drive, and then if you wanted to externally or internally share those.
Excellent. So I'm going to go over the demo real quick, just to give you guys an overview, and then I'm just going to hand the baton over to Judd and let him walk through each of these for you. So first, we're going to be talking about the presence, how on Team and Outlook Calendar Sync show that presence with the green means go, if you will. Messaging, alert when available. These are all little tools. You may be using Teams right now. You don't know that all of that is available. Then we're going to move on to communication. Show individual chat, group chats, how you can have some fun with it, how you can notify that a message was read. There's even a translation tool, which Judd might be able to show with us today. Then he's going to go into creating these video calls and audio calls. Again, you can do that within your organization, outside of your organization. Essentially, it's really utilizing another platform that you're currently using, that you currently have, to be sure. And then last but not least, and this is kind of on that share drive side, creating teams and channels. This is kind of that back end where SharePoint comes into view, and you can create permissions folders, collaborate within documents, and again, including members outside of the organization. So pretty comprehensive, I would hope, but absolutely, if folks don't see something here that they would like to see that we haven't discussed so far, just kind of chime in and let us know. And if not, with that, Judd, I'm going to ask you to kind of jump in and start the demo.
Sounds good. So first, within the whole 365 environment, I'm going to share my screen. Can everyone see my screen? Google?
Nope.
There it is.
So when any user goes to portal.office.com, which is mainly the hub for the 365 applications, when you would log in, you come to a page and it lists all the applications over here that you can create with Word, Excel, PowerPoint. You've got Teams down here. So this is kind of your main.
I don't see your screen.
Oh, I didn't click the share. There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. Sorry, thank you.
Mhm.
So you've got the apps over here when you come to just office.com or portal.office.com. You've got all your different apps. You have your Outlook, you have your OneDrive, OneNote, SharePoint, Teams, and additional ones down here. But this is kind of the easiest way to get to your other applications. But showing how presence first, we go to Teams, and I have Teams up. It shows me right now, and I have a photo of myself, and it shows that I'm busy with the red. It says I'm in a meeting. But then it also, if you hover over my icon or the photo of anybody, it tells you where you work, your contact information, etc. If a presence, to show a better one, these are all people in my org within Optimum. So you can see Isaac here has a yellow, so he's away from his desk. Alaric is here. Bob is in a meeting. And then Kevin is green, so he's available. So you could ping people at different times if they're available or whatnot. You can always search someone too. I just searched Jonathan. And then he would reply back to me if he had anything that I, to reply to or whatnot. So that's the chat piece. And you can see Jonathan's starting to, and then, yep, he just replied. So now he shows available. But within Teams, someone had mentioned if you could be a user in multiple teams, and that's true. You can be in as many teams as you want to. You just want to, each team has an owner group and a member group. So it just needs to, whoever is the owner can admit anyone as a member or as another owner if they had wanted to. Up here in the right-hand corner, you can see my picture. And if I select this, this is one reason why I wanted to do the demonstration in Zoom, but me show demo in Teams, is I'm a member of a couple other different orgs, and they've invited me as a guest. So they've only allowed me specific permissions to a location that I'm doing SharePoint work with them. So I can switch to one of these and it'll come up with the posts and the files and all these documents that we work on are in the files tab that automatically comes when you create a team. And you can see that these two documents I uploaded 20 minutes ago. So this is kind of the File Explorer look that you see. The other thing when I was talking about chats, you can have fun with emojis and whatnot. There's several emojis you can use. Down here, if you can see that underneath, you can click it if you want to have fun or whatnot. Or if I want to just reply real quick to someone's comment, I can give them a thumbs up and then they would get dinged. A little bell would ring saying that, yep. And then I got a penguin back from Jonathan. Within Teams as well, you've got a calendar tab, and this is my calendar, my personal work calendar here. So this is our meeting here. If you're invited to a Teams meeting, it'll automatically show up in Teams as well as any other meetings that are scheduled, but only the team meetings will have these little icons like join now. So you could open this up in Teams within the meeting within Teams, or you've got a calendar here. You can create a meeting anywhere where you want to. You just say a new meeting request, just like normally you would do in Outlook. And in the top ribbon with Outlook, when Teams is installed, there's an option here that you can create a Teams meeting. So you could start creating something here. You start writing whatever you want here, and then you're like, oh, I want to create a Teams meeting. You can click this button here. It automatically creates a link to the meeting and creates a call-in number if they wanted to just call in. Otherwise, they would just click here to join the meeting, and then that would pop up. And the same, I'll go back to Teams, the same thing, you can create a new meeting just by selecting the time with the title, required attendees, whoever, same kind of look and feel. Another thing, I'm going to go back here. So within Teams, there's channels. So let me demo this one. So within Teams, am I going too fast, JD or anybody else?
So I just have a quick question here from Mike King. Is there a maximum amount of people you can invite or host on a Teams meeting? Internal and or external?
No, it can be as many as you would want to. Because even within a team, you can add an Active Directory group or a SharePoint group, and add that group, and all the members within that group would then be able to have access to that as well. So you can do it individually multiple times, or groups can be like HR group could be with an onboarding group and a training group type thing or team. It's also cool little thing up here in the chats. If I select a user like JD Jonathan, I can video call him. I have the option to do it on the fly here, or I could just call him directly by clicking audio call up here in the right hand corner, and then screen sharing with an screen sharing, so both of us can talk at the same time and share the same screen, just like a Teams meeting would be set up.
And what's cool about that is you can do it just with 2 people, or if you put a team together like or a group chat or a team together that Joe's going to show you, just by one click, everybody's automatically in that group or that meeting.
Here's an example of my team, SharePoint administration. There's just 3 dots here. You can manage the team. You can add members. These are all owners, and then Bill's a member. You can also create new channels, which consider a team is, I call it like a department. So we'd say information technology. So that'd be the umbrella team. And then each channel could be hardware, a channel for software, channel for audio, anything like that. And then permissions could be granted to everyone at the Teams level, and then the channels, you can include those users or not, and include sub-users from each of those channels. And within the channels, like I had mentioned, there's files in here, and you can upload documents, a folder, etc.
Judd, can you kind of talk about the advantages and a disadvantage of communicating over Teams versus group chats?
So you can have within a chat an individual chat with a user or several users. If it's with a group of users, like all of us on the phone, if I add a bunch of people to a chat, it can get noisy because some people don't want to be involved in that. But within the Teams, all of the posts, any kind of chat is contained within it's each individual team, as well as files. So this would be everyone in the team may not be, they'll all be pinged, that a message was sent, but it could be a message to everyone on the team. Hey, can we go for a lunch meeting today, or something to that sort? Does that help, JD?
Yep, absolutely. And we have another question here from Robert. Can you mandate team memberships, as if to say, if they're on 365, that you are assigned to this team, basically assigning people to the team?
So I think I got what you were saying. So I have the team here, and it was going to managing the team.
Yeah. Can you, in other words, can you add or somebody, or yes, you can add it, but can you mandate them to join the team?
I don't know of that, but I would think they'd want to join the team.
Well, when they're assigned, they're a member of the team, right? I mean,
yes, no matter
what, they'll start getting it.
Yes, and only the owners of the team can have them leave the team or add new users.
Robert, does that answer the question? Robert, you're off mute, but I don't hear you.
That's because I didn't turn on my microphone.
There you go.
Next question is there a permanent record of the team chats that is created as a backup? If I needed to reference the conversation from a week ago, is there one available? Is there a way to prevent users from removing comments that they made and then decided they don't want people reading?
Good question. That's all around the permissions on how the teams are set up. At a default, we'd set them up that only the owner can add users and remove users and do anything else admin wise. You can even lock it down to, I mean, an admin or an owner is able to edit their messages, but the log is still there, and the admin cannot, they can delete the messages, but the members would not have that ability to. I'll show you a chat. I was on a chat a long time ago, and some of them are very long. So, I mean, this is a shorter one, but this goes back to October. And I was going to show an example of SharePoint when you would sync files, because each team site, that's what I was going to go do, as a SharePoint site. We're down here, you have the option to open in SharePoint. Each team in itself, the back end is SharePoint with the library and the folders contained in that. But then you can open this in SharePoint. This is a fantasy football team that we have. It may take a couple seconds. Well, let's say it opened up like that. It would open up something. Is it going to do it? This is a little faster. Okay. So this is the SharePoint administration, the SharePoint look and feel compared to, and I can put these two side by side. And you'll see the same content here that you see within the Teams application is here within SharePoint. And this, all of these documents have version history. Version history is turned on these libraries, and it defaults to 100 versions. So there's your version history on documents. And if any documents are deleted, they go into the recycle bin. Each user has their own recycle bin, and it stays in that recycle bin for 30 days, and then goes to the administrator's recycle bin for an additional 60. When you would sync the site down, I'll show you here. Within SharePoint, there's a sync button here. You can sync all of these documents down to your laptop or machine, and within Windows Explorer, here's my OneDrive. This is professional services, but I had synced this down here to my professional services. So these documents, as you see with the blue cloud, they're up in the cloud, and any changes I make within File Explorer and or the application, Teams or SharePoint, there's a two-way communication, so it's updated both ways. And additionally, more than one user can edit a document at the same time.
So essentially, whatever you do, and I think this speaks to the question of how to set up a share drive, that it essentially goes across all three of these platforms: SharePoint, your share drive as well as the Teams environment, right? Yes, you need some permissions to set that up, and you can create permissions and restrictions around that. But just like you would set up a share drive in the past, you would just set it up and it would go across all 3 platforms. Is that correct, Jed?
Yes, yes.
Excellent. And I'm also thinking, going back to Carol's question about, what's included basically is SharePoint included in the Microsoft 365 platform. Can you kind of speak to what it looks like out of the box and what kind of you do to set up basic environments or maybe some more advanced environments?
Sure. So initially we implement Teams and at OneDrive and SharePoint. The process is normally the Teams is set up as the same time as SharePoint with the list of users and or groups of users that want to be grouped together for access. And then once, if you're rolling out just Teams, SharePoint is still going to be the back end, so you'd still be able to go that route. But a lot of customers, we've also done like just an intranet, hey, here's your employee resources. If IT needs to go somewhere else, then they have a totally separate section within SharePoint. As JD had mentioned at the very beginning, that I consider SharePoint as a single source of truth or a record. They can be edited, but they shouldn't be deleted. But really the collaboration work is done in the Teams and OneDrive. And then everything is sent up to the source of truth, up to SharePoint.
Great, thank you. Keep your questions coming. You can either hop in or put them on the chat like people have been doing.
And Teams and OneDrive, OneDrive's the syncing mechanism that you can invite external users to share as well. Like I explained, where I have other customers that share documents.
Yeah, and keep in mind, and I was going to talk about this too, Judd. Those third parties could be clients, like they are, as Judd described. I was on a committee for my synagogue, and they included me into a Teams meeting. Now I happen to have Microsoft, but not everybody on the committee did. But everybody had access to that team, had access to the documents we were sharing. It was a search committee, so we were looking at resumes securely, and we were chatting, and they were giving us updates and information about all that. And it was completely a different organization, and yet I had access to it. So it is very, I consider it user friendly, but a couple of folks said, hey, I need a little help, a little training on this. But once they got into it and they were able to click through it, it was pretty intuitive for them as well. So just keep that in mind, that it's not just locked into your organization.
Right. So even with any type of an internet connection, you'd be able to work on your documents in SharePoint, Teams, or even within your OneDrive. When OneDrive's first set up, it backs up your desktop, it backs up your documents folder, and it backs up your pictures folder. And then you can add additional folders like what I have done. So this is always being backed up into the cloud. So I can get this via my phone, tablet, or PC, or at the library, anywhere. So,
One question.
yeah.
What happens when you hit your 1 terabyte limit? Does it just stop allowing stuff to be added, or is that something like now we're on to billing?
It doesn't let you go any farther, Jeremy, add any more content to it unless you extend the size. But in my experience, in my own personal OneDrive, I've just deleted documents that I don't need anymore, but that's not a business call. But
Sure.
Yeah, but I don't see many people getting up close to 1 terabyte for an individual.
Right. I'm thinking more like maybe an accident. Maybe somebody accidentally copies a network share into their OneDrive or something like that. I was just curious if something like that might start incurring billing or something like that if it hits that terabyte.
So I've seen something in a similar situation where we had copied files over and the file length was was way too long. So OneDrive just sits there waiting and tells you, hey, you have to interact with this, something's wrong.
Okay.
And so there is interaction. It's not just like, yeah, Jeremy, everything's gone. Or, yeah, you're just getting billed while you're not paying attention.
That's cool. That's just what I was curious about right there. Yeah.
And Judd, thank you, Jeremy. And Judd, I like that you brought up backups because I didn't really talk about backups in my just overall description because it almost goes without saying, but I should say it anyway. This is all backed up and supported in the Microsoft Cloud environment. Optimum Networking, as part of our service, also backs it up on a third party, which is a Barracuda, so that everything in shared drive, everything in SharePoint, and that you have on your OneDrive as well as your Exchange environment is all backed up third party too. So Judd described, how it's saved in the Microsoft Cloud, but that can be somewhat difficult to navigate or recover from. We also have a product that we do a backup, a cloud-to-cloud backup as well. So, gone are the days when you put, or they should be gone, where you put critical documents, pictures, important stuff on your hard drive in your computer, and that gets corrupted or lost or stolen or encrypted, or something like that. All of this should be in the cloud and safe and secure as well as backed up.
And with something like that for a backup, with version history being controlled within the back end, if the version 5 was supposed to be the version 1, it's easy just to make that its top version, and it still keeps that other version as a previous version. So you can always restore however many versions you want.
Judd, did you want to go demonstrate the document sharing? Or not the document sharing, but the co-collaboration on the documents?
We're in the everything else demo.
Yeah.
So I'm going to the files and I'm going to open this 365 workshop worksheet. So we have a worksheet in here, and I'm here, and up here at the top it says I'm editing it, and it'll default to that. But if I start editing a column, you'll see over here in purple, it looks like there's Jonathan making an edit in this cell. And then it appears that he made a comment. And here's one down on B12. So it doesn't really interact. It interacts excellent. So you can see the person coming in here and their name. So
consider, times when you had to, this isn't screen sharing. This is just us both working on the document at the same time. You can obviously do screen sharing as well. But this really shows what, and I think somebody was talking about or asking about Rutgers, right? You can, Judge, you'd be able to see who makes changes, who logged in. You can create all that, or you can generate all that information as well.
Yep.
Excellent.
A lot of that can be used with metadata, just tags, like if it's a contract or a bill or invoice.
Yep.
I'll close that.
Is that feature only available with documents within Teams then, where people can go in and edit them at the same time, or where you have that one document?
No, this is throughout. So if you were even in SharePoint, that would show up that someone is editing the same file too.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Hey, guy.
Someone say something?
Question for you. How reactive two people are changing the same cell at the same time?
It can't, JD, go back in that worksheet.
Will do.
Gotta play rock, paper, scissors. Who gets to use it?
I like it.
First one to hit save. Well, I'm there. I'll wait till JD, Jonathan.
I'm coming. All
And I'll
right.
try and edit something in JD where Jonathan's. What are you typing, Jonathan?
I put in hello. Are we on 7C? What square do you want me to type something in?
I see you on C7.
Yep. I've never tried this before.
No, I hadn't either, but it wouldn't let me keep I was trying to type in as just letters.
Right, so you can't do C7 because I'm on C7.
Yep.
So does that answer your question, Robert? It just kind of, you can keep the square you're on.
But it
I
doesn't-
assume if you're in a Word doc, it's similar,
Yeah.
you know, in terms of just the cursor, what cursor stroke you're on.
So there was no pop-up or warning, it just didn't let you do it.
That's what it looks like, yeah.
Is that something that can be adjusted? We have a couple of spreadsheets that multiple people need to use at the same time, and it's like, it'd be nice if they didn't have to wait till the other guy's done saving it and then share it and blah, blah, you know that.
But would they be doing it would they be editing it in the same cell?
They shouldn't be, but
Right,
we're
so-
talking about users. So there's
Yeah.
what they shouldn't do and what they will do. Those are
Yes.
never the same thing.
Well, Robert, you can see though what cell each person's at, so that would kind of help them avoid working in the same cells, right?
This is true. Okay.
And I can click his name up top and see what cell he's on.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you can just avoid that by keeping your eye on it.
Can you lock an entire row? If you wanted to, if I were wanting to insert a row into 6 there, between 6 and 7.
Let me check on that. I've never thought of that.
So Judd, I just highlighted row 6. See if you can do anything on row 6 now.
You see hello on your side?
Nope. Oh,
Z-
yep. Yep, you can do it if you highlight it. You can still do it if you highlight it, looks like.
An individual cell. Just a warning to stay out of that other user's way.
Yep, looks like it. Cool, good question, Robert. All right, any other questions or Judd, anything else you want to show?
That's all that I got.
Nope.
Everyone knows how to change backgrounds on their teams or meetings or whatnot.
Right.
Unless you're on a Windows 7.
Yeah, if you're on the Windows 7, you have other problems too. For sure. But yeah, and I can just tell people openly, I do use both. I do use both Zoom and Teams on a regular basis because, you know, I go to a lot of networking events, and those, you know, just by default, people use Zoom on those. But from a business to business standpoint, and I can host, you know, as many people as I want on my teams. The recording, the ability to you know, share that recording in Microsoft Streaming. There's not much outside of funny, cute filters that Zoom is doing that Microsoft 365 Teams hasn't come upon. So you know, keep that in mind. It looks like we've got a couple of cool. What happened? Oh, you saw that. Okay, so it was Robert's message here. So let me pop back into the presentation here because I can't click and talk at the same time. And share.
There it is.
Do folks see my conclusion screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So essentially, we're, the high points here, productivity tools. We create a secure environment here. And then we're going to make a word about this. And I think, Carol, you made a good, you started asking the question in terms of what comes out of the box from a licensing standpoint. And those of you who have started implementing these things, people might be used to other tools and other platforms. Oftentimes it takes some time, it takes some training, it takes some time to adapt to tools like this. But I'll just tell my own story. I was an email guy, obviously. Before email, I guess I picked up the phone. But I almost found like that it was a transition for me. Obviously, I'm still using email, but first I forced myself. But then once I made that tradition to start communicating with people through Teams, it was a huge time saver and definitely a more efficient way for me to get information across to my organization. So, any sort of software, whether it be a communication platform or otherwise, it needs to be easy and accessible, but also has to be useful and help people do their jobs. Otherwise, they're just not going to adapt to it. And I think, and I'm hoping you saw today that there's a lot to this the platform that we can help folks out with that about that. So, I'm going to.
Hey, Jonathan, one other thing, all of these tools I meant to mention have statistics you can pull behind it by use.
Right, and that kind of gets to Tom's question about the KPIs, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in wrapping up here, we do have another workshop. I know a lot of people who are on the call right now have been to this workshop, but it's our cybersecurity preparedness workshop. It helps raise your awareness a little bit and helps tell you what Optimum Networking is doing to keep ourselves and our clients secure. So you guys are welcome to come to that. I will send an invite to everybody with that, as well as a recap and today's PowerPoint slide. So, but we still have some time, a few more minutes, if anybody has any questions for Jed before we get going here.
Luckily, we've been using 365, so yeah, we like the suite. It's pretty nice.
Are you utilizing it kind of to the level that we described here? I mean, were there some stuff you saw here that you didn't know was possible?
Oh, there's definitely some stuff that were kind of nice little things that I didn't know before, but a lot of stuff we do use. We do use a collaborative nature of, especially working with spreadsheets and stuff like that in Teams. So it's really a nice little tool for sure. Definitely agree.
Any other questions, comments? Appreciate that, Jeremy.
Oh, thank you guys.
You bet. Hey, Mike, you didn't ask too many questions about the difference between the G Suite and the Office 365. Did you see a lot of overlap? Did you see what you could do, or did you have any, like, hey, I could do this, can you do that?
I saw a lot of the same functionality that we are experiencing. We're obviously not experiencing all within the G Suite. We do a mix. So we do a mix of applications. So we've got Zoom, we've got Slack, and we've got G Suite, which gives you your email. I mean, G Suite does offer kind of a chat thing, but I don't really care for it.
Right.
And so, yeah, I in terms of functionality, I saw all the similar functionality that we currently experience. The advantage obviously is the integration piece, the seamless integration piece. But yeah, it was good.
Good deal. Good. I was hoping you'd be able to see that. That's one of the things we're trying to get across. So, all right, everybody. Well, we are at our time, and I appreciate everybody's time. Look for your email. Look for the recap and the invite to the next event. And obviously, if any questions come up after this, and you want to just ask Judd and I the question, feel free to give me a call, shoot me an email, and we'll address that as we go. But I know everybody's time is valuable, and I appreciate everybody's time so much.
Thanks, guys.
Have a
Thank
great
you,
rest of the day.
guys.
and Have a great
Appreciate
weekend.
that.
Thanks for the invite, Jonathan.
Thank
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Cheers.
And Carol, if you're still on, I apologize for not getting you the emails, and I appreciate you reaching out to me. I'll get you that gift card coming up.
Oh, okay, no problem.
No, I apologize. I'm not sure how that missed. You were on the list, and human error. You know how it goes.
That's okay. I appreciate it though. I learned a lot here today.
I'm so glad you were able to make it.
Yeah, thank you for inviting us.
All right, take care.
Thank you.